All right, what's up, guys? Today we're gonna remix it up today, and you guys always hear me about the tribe and Dave and how he's my mentor, coach, and partner. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions on who he is, what he does. So I thought it'd be fun to remix this up and allow him to take over the channel today. So come on, Dave, take over, bro. Go ahead, man. You got this.
I just got here.
And now it's yours.
So this is how it feels. Wow.
Kept it nice and warm for you.
Wow.
I get to be your first guest.
This seat is very warm, Sean. I mean, I'm sweating already just sitting in your spot. But wow. It's just a new Lunar New Year, so Happy New Year, Tony.
Oh, hey, Phát Chói.
Gong hei fa chai. Yeah, that's
Chúc mừng năm mới, bro.
yeah, man. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
So I just walked in, and let's see what comes to mind, man. What's new for the new year for you? What every year, kind of people have a goal. What's your goal for the new year?
To be honest, I didn't set a goal this year. I did that many years. I set goals and I had expectations for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And for this year, I kind of felt like every time I did that, it would kind of set me up for like certain types of expectations of I had to perform or I had to be a certain way, I had to do things a certain way. And sometimes I'll be disappointed because I wouldn't follow through with it, And I didn't want to put myself through that. And I wanted this year to be kind of like free flowing, just kind of. I guess that is kind of like an expectation, like, going with the flow, and that's kind of how I wanted this year to be. Was I didn't want to put pressure on myself because a lot of last year there was so much pressure that was put on me where I felt like I lost myself, and I don't want to put myself through that again this year. So I told myself, whatever comes at me, I'm going to feel it out. And if it's meant for me, I'm going to flow with it. If it's not meant for me, if I feel any type of restriction, if I feel anything that doesn't feel right, I'm just going to let it go. And that's kind of how I kind of wanted this year to play out. Whoever's supposed to be in my life, whoever's supposed to, play with me, work with me, I just want it to be just effortless. It's just supposed to be like, hey, we're all just, just people and balls of energy just kind of floating around. We're bouncing around each other, and I think that's what I want it to look like this year. Just, hey, man, whatever happens, and we'll see how it goes.
Man, that sounds exciting, It sounds good. Yeah, I noticed you mentioned that last year you put a lot of stress on yourself. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And you said that you lost yourself. Can you describe to me, like, what does yourself look like, should be like? Can you describe that? Like, who are you to yourself?
Right. I think that we can feel it, right? Like when something feels out of place, like I think growing up, like I remember there was a time where I felt like I was in danger, right? Like there was like an intuition, like kind of like a instinctive feeling that I went through when I was we were being like chased like by a bunch of kids, right? And that feeling of like feeling threatened, right? That feeling, the like the people never really hurt us or anything, but you can feel like they were trying to um, cause harm to us. And so for me now, when things don't feel like it's fun or it doesn't feel peaceful, it doesn't feel um, like it's coming from a loving place, then I know that's not for me. And that's kind of what um, determines how I make decisions now in my life. If it's not coming from a place of peace, then I know it's not for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it sounds like you have an inner compass right now, and for this year's theme is, focus on inner peace.
Exactly. Exactly that. And that's basically just kind of going off of like, I guess the first thing is like our intuition. Like, what are we feeling today? Because I've always kind of been a very emotional, like feely type of person. So, not sure if you noticed, but I've always kind of been like a person who wore his heart on his sleeve type
Can't
of
tell.
person. And and now I'm going back to it. I'm back to that that internal instinct of I guess you would call it like going back to your soul, of what your soul really wants, and I know that it all starts with love. I gotta love myself first, and if I don't feel like I'm loving myself, if I feel like I'm trying too hard to be somebody else, to please other people, to please, to do things that make other people happy, then I know that I'm not being true to myself, because we're putting on a show. We're putting on this mask so that you can I guess like meet other people's expectations. And I think that I want to go back to um, sticking to my beliefs, my core values, and what I want from a vision standpoint for my company, you know, and it all starts with me. And so um, that's why I'm back to the drawing board now,
Okay.
and really, really honing in on like what my emotions are really telling me.
So, I mean, you said a lot of good things right there. You know, can you just from the outside? I don't have 100% clarity of what those words mean to you.
Hmm.
Can you give me some examples that are more tangible? Like, for example, I hear things like, you know, putting your heart back on your sleeve again. So it's kind of like you want to open up your heart again,
Hmm.
right? What would that look like in business? What would that look like in your relationship? What would that look like to your health? You talk about self love. So what does that look like in a day to day, world to you right now?
Well, um, well, I'm a dad, right? So I guess one of the things for me is like I put my I like to put my heart into everything that I do. And so when I cook, for my family, like, I always want to make sure like it comes from a place of love, right? And I want to, of course, when you cook food for your family, you don't want it to taste bad. You don't want it to you want it to be not only do you want it to taste good, you want it to be healthy for them. And so, you know, for me to provide that for my family, providing a healthy meal for them, cooking for them, making sure that they're well fed, that would be an example, right? Um, in terms of like work, um, being
Pause for a second.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go over that a little bit. This is what I hear. Like what I heard you say right there was that when you make food, the first thing is you observe how you feel in terms of putting out love into the food before
Yep.
you even cook it.
Yep.
Then you also mention nutritious. And that means that you had to do research to make sure it's probably organic, it's healthy, full of nutrients, and vitamins that they need for, their well-being. And then, after that, like it sounds like you also observe how they respond to the food, and you want to custom tailor the right foods that your children love too. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, because everybody has their own preferences, right? What I like, my kids may not like it, right?
Right.
So I think having that that sensibility of predicting or knowing like what a person wants when they eat can apply to everything, right? Not only food, but it can apply to for work, right? It can apply to jobs. Predicting what a client wants before they even ask for it. So for my kids, I already know what they like to eat, right? Because I've been feeding them ever since they were born, and so being able to give them options and provide that for them in a way where they know it's coming from dad and a place of love, right? And also the way I present it, the presentation of food to the person, right? It's not just your kids, but whenever a chef, you know, makes a meal for a
You're like
client,
an artist too? You're like an artist? You make those Mickey Mouse
Nah,
pancakes
nah,
and stuff? Oh, no.
I don't do it like that. But the presentation, as in like, you can do it that way. But for me, it's all about like, how I make it. Like, am I in a happy mood when I'm making my kids' food in the morning, or am I a grumpy old dad where he's just like he's angry, he's upset to make this food? No, like that matters, right? If your kid wakes up to that every day, he's just like, man, I don't want to eat this food.
So you're a fun dad. Do you
I
put like the
try to
carrots
be.
of your teeth to be like a walrus, be
I
like
try to.
turn around?
I try to be. You know.
That's awesome.
I think those things matter, right?
For sure.
You know, the display, how you are in front of your kids. And I was talking about this on another podcast at a different time about like, how we act in front of our kids. How it matters, right? And yeah, so
You set, not only are you doing all that, but you're also setting the tone, the example. So they, they're modeling, joy, love.
yeah,
It's beautiful, man.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I believe it's really important, because we all go through like these emotions on a daily basis. Like, you got kids. They're in the morning. They may go through like 10 different emotions in the morning, and if you don't know how to, channel those emotions away from you when they're being outputted to you, then they're gonna absorb whatever you give back to them. And for me, I always want to leave them with a lasting impression in the morning, because that's gonna set the precedence for them for the rest of the day. So when they leave the house in the morning, I want them to remember me as the dad who left them with a good hot meal, and also a fun, loving time before they left, and they get to bring that to school and share that with the other kids.
Wow, your kids must love you. They must be gluing onto your arm all the time when you bring them to school.
I wish it was like that.
So it sounds like you're very emotionally conscious. Have you always been like that?
I would say so. I would say so because I grew up in a very strict household. So my father was very like military style, yeah, like
All
like
Asian parents.
education and discipline. Like, respect your elders, respect your family, just go out and respecting people. But there was times where things got real physical, and that right there, I think we've had talks about this before, where it made me have, I guess, like a more of an emotional uh, compass, or um, you know expansion of my emotions, because I went through a lot growing up, you know, exploring these emotions and trying to understand it as a kid. And so when you get to explore all these emotions, it's like now you get to experience all of it, and then you also get to see when other people go through it too, and you get to, since you've already gone through it, now you're just like, oh, okay, I know what that person's going through.
So you've been through it,
Yeah.
and now you're not trying to repeat the same mistakes.
Exactly. And I also, if I'm given the opportunity to guide people out of it, then I'll do my best to do that if I'm in the right place, of course.
How do you guide people out of it? What does that look like?
Um, I think I think I think one of the best things you can do for a person when they're going through something is just listening. And then you really don't have to do much. You just need to just be there and listen to them. And eventually, um, they'll guide themselves out. That's the one thing that I learned. If you ever intend on being a healer, you're not supposed to heal the person. You're supposed to kind of just be there for them, and then eventually they'll heal themselves. You know, and yeah. So that's kind of like what I was able to kind of learn from going through um, meeting different healers myself.
Mm. Tell me about that. What have you, like, what have that journey been about? Where you met so many healers?
Mm. We got enough time for that, man? This is
That's all we got here. All we got is time. 15 minutes,
50 minutes is not enough time.
Make it short. Make it short. Compress it. Compress it.
Man, that's quite a journey.
Compress it. Just a general idea. We don't need to go into details,
Right. You know me, Mr. Details.
No, that's good. I mean, hey, share whatever you feel like is good for you to share. Whatever
Yeah.
feels right. Go off your feelings.
Well,
Sean paying for it, ain't us.
yeah. No, okay. Guess we can stay in all day. Well, for me, I got to experience connecting with God again. God is great. He knows exactly what we need to go through to go through these transformations in our lives. And he just positions things in a way where, during the times when we're going through it, it may be we may feel like it's probably the worst experience ever. But once you get through that, and then you go through that tunnel and you get towards the light, when you look back at it, it's just an amazing, amazing thing. There are times where you're just like, is this it? Right? Is this it right here for me? But now that I look back at it, I'm just amazed that I was able to go through those things and survive. And so that journey, I wouldn't wish it on anybody because it was meant for me. But I do understand why I had to go through that. And so, it was very physical what I went through. And I'm not sure a lot of people know about me, but I've always kind of been a very physical person, going through like, I guess my upbringing, I went through a lot of physical things, and then, now, as I went through this transformation, it became very physical too, and then became very health related. And so, once I started to meet people to help guide me through this journey of healing, I realized that all along it was all within me to heal myself. Everything started with me, everything ended with me. And I had to learn how to let it go, you know? And I think that was one of the hardest things that I needed to go through, was letting go of what my expectations were and what I envisioned, or how I envisioned things to be, because I was always like fixated on how things were. Like, oh, it needs to be like this.
How you want it to be, you mean?
Yeah, like I want things to be like this, so I'll hold on real tight to it, like, um, just working with people, I had a vision for the company. It has to be like this, and if it didn't align with the vision, then I would try to make it like forcefully, and that's when I realized that that's not how it works, and that's why, going back to your question before, like, what is my goals for this year, and through my experiences, I realized, like, hey, gotta let go of all these expectations. What is meant for you will come if you focus on the right things. And for me now, it's focusing on the tribe, focusing on
What does
love.
that mean? What does it mean to tribe?
The tribe?
Yeah.
Well, the tribe with good vibes. There's this group of guys,
Yeah, me
you know,
and Sean.
group of guys around me, Dave and Sean, and for me now, it's getting back to what I'm supposed to do, and that's sticking to my role. And I mentioned this before with Sean, was doing what I need to do to provide value to my guys on a consistent and daily basis, where I'm needed, where I'm valued.
Based on what you chose to do, right?
Whatever role I need to do.
Okay.
Whatever it takes.
So, what I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm wrapping this whole thing around, is that your whole theme of following inner peace and pretty much trusting the process, right? And what you call flow is really have faith. And just trusting that it'll guide you and show you the right way.
Yeah. That's what I realize now. I didn't realize that last year. Last year, I was still learning that. I kind of knew it in a way, because I could look back at it and see that there were spurts of faith, because I wouldn't have ended up here today if I didn't believe in it, if I didn't have that faith or that trust in what was happening. But along the way, I lost myself. That's the type of person I am. When I focus on something and I engulf myself into a position, I'm very loyal in that aspect. Like I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I very much fall in love with the role I jump into, or the people I surround myself with, because I always look for the best in them. And I always look for, like, hey, how can I make that person a better, how can I provide value so that that person can be a better person around me. And that's where I started to lose myself again. It's because I keep focusing on like the people around me where I'm just like, hey, you know, if I do this, maybe this person will change, right? And I think that's where, you know, I started to really understand that it's not them. It was never about them. It was always about me. It was always about what I needed to do, what I needed to focus on. And the focus was to let go of all expectations, which is what led me to here is, yo, just flow with it, man.
So stop trying to change others and just work on inner change or self change. You know, transform yourself. Focus on yourself other than other people. It's easier, right? You have more control.
Yeah.
That's what the whole journey taught you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. I don't know what to say after that.
I mean, you know, we go through these lessons, and it took me 40 something years to learn it. You know,
Simple.
I don't have another 40 something years. I'm ready for the next one. I'm ready for the next lesson, whatever that is.
Maybe there's no more lessons. It's just fun play.
I believe it. What about you, man? What are your goals for this year, for 2025? Do you have any goals?
Yeah. You know, I've spent over a decade coaching others. I just want to spend time coaching myself. More time to have solitude to myself. Face a lot of my personal fears. Because being alone has always been one of my biggest fears. And time again, I've been put in places where I'm always alone. So instead of resisting it, now also just be open for it. And now I'm learning to enjoy alone time a lot more. I enjoy alone time for like reading and stuff, but now it's more alone time to be able to just connect with things that I never connected with, like going to the gym. Before, it's like going to the gym, and I got a goal. Do this, get out. Now I'm going in there, and I'm just learning to connect with my body. I realize that the most important thing to me are relationships. I don't have a relationship with my body. And because I don't have a relationship with my body, I don't understand nutrition. I don't understand health. I don't understand wellness. I don't understand why people do certain things and how they feel. Because I never spent enough time to study it, because I was never interested enough to make that connection. So
Could you elaborate a little more on that? Like how do you think you got to that point? Like being disconnected from your body.
well, one thing I've learned recently is I have twins. They're both 3, and they have symptoms of autism. And you know, when they pretty much talked about, they did a soft diagnosis questionnaires, and you know, pointed out all the clear signs of autism. All the things they named that my son have that make them autistic, I have. So that was a big awareness to me of, wait a second, is that why my entire life I couldn't connect with people, or I don't understand my body? I remember that a lot of things that I say or do is weird to other people. Like at one point, I have weird questions like, hey, am I walking right? Am I running right? Should I be running on my heel? Should I be running my arches? Should I be running on my insteps? Which way should I be doing this so I don't hurt myself and blow out my knees? I see people injure their legs from jogging. I said, well, I've seen people jog their whole life and be okay. Is there a right way of doing something? It will be something like that where I'm like, I don't know. And I see people work out. They could be built. Then I see them hurt their wrists. I'm like, you've been working out for how long and you hurt your wrists? Do you know what you're doing? I start to question these things like, yo, you know what? Maybe we don't know what we're doing. And I just start opening my mind to, you know what? I don't know what I don't know. And so I started studying the things I do. And I started thinking about, hey, is it getting me that outcome that I want? And a lot of things that I think is correct or I was taught a certain way by my parents, by school, by friends, wasn't getting me the results that I wanted. So does that mean I'm doing the right thing if I'm not getting the right results? The results that I want means that it's right for me. But or am I just listening to someone that did it and just accept it, whatever they did, instead of exploring it myself? So I started to question everything to the point where I feel like I don't know anything. And it kind of felt good because when I realized I don't know anything, I'm not trying to defend anything.
Takes all the pressure off.
Yeah, I'm genuinely listening and learning from a person, their point of view.
Right.
Of like, for example, it's like saying, if someone came to you and say, when you drive, step on the gas pedal. That sounds easy. How hard? All the way? Well, if I learn from the beginning, step on it all the way, I'm always full throttling, like all the way. When should I step on it lightly? I don't know. And now that I got an electric car, it feels totally different. It doesn't move on its own. Now what? So, you know, what I've learned is that, you know, people can give me answers, but I have to figure out what's right for that circumstance. And most people I find, they're not as detailed in breaking these things down. They're not teachers. They're just telling you what worked for them. Right. And not saying it doesn't work, but what I'm actually questioning myself is that the only way? Is there a better way? What is the best way? What's the best way for me? So, you know, come down when I start to ask these type of questions, I start to be more humble. You know, I become a student again. And I feel like that's what lightens everything up, when I'm a student again. When my friend tells me something and I totally disagree with it, I want to hear, why does he believe in that? And then I like to hear what are his values? And when does it work for him very well? When does it not work for him? And I start to see, oh, I liked it my way because under this circumstance, it worked really well. I got what I want. But under another circumstance, it doesn't work. I should take on my friend's perspective in that circumstance. And like you say, flow. Be more adaptive. And it made me understand, like, wait a second, how did a human race become the strongest race? And then when you look it up, it's like, oh, we have the ability to adapt. What does that mean? I'm starting to begin to understand that, oh, like everyone, I listen to everyone now thinking that everyone's right. You know, that's why, like, it's interesting for me to, I start to see, like, it's kind of like there's different levels of development because I've been teaching, coaching, you know, mentoring. I start to speak to people. I used to speak to people like, oh, how old are you, 40? Okay, you should know this. And I start to just talk to you from that mind frame, right? Oh, you should know this. But that's just like me. I'm 40 something, I don't know anything about my body. Then right. How is it fair for me to assume that you know anything about emotions? Or you know anything about this business? You know, we can all carry a surface conversation that But how much do we deeply know? How much do we deeply connect to something? I don't feel like most people are connecting because most people are not listening. And so if you're not listening, you're not able to connect with someone. So imagine a good just imagine if I'm talking to my 3-year-old son. I'm talking to him as if he should be, let's say, 40. Let's say, imagine I'm talking to him, hey man, yo, what you doing today? You going to work? Like what? He's a 3-year-old. Why are you having that conversation? That's no different than me talking to my wife, assuming that she knows algebra or calculus because I've been through it. I'm not meeting the person where they are.
Right.
And so, how good is the conversation? There's many times when me and Sean talk, we're literally talking about two different things, and the conversation's still going on as if we're really talking about something. And none of us is listening to anyone. And at the end, I'm like, yo, what did you hear me say? And because I'm curious, I'm like, what did you hear me say? And he was like, well, I heard you loud and clear, bro. I got you. What do you get exactly? And he started to describe it. I'm like, that's not what I said at all, man. I'm not even talking about that topic. What are you talking about? So I start to realize that people see, hear, feel where they are in life based off of what's going on in their mind. So like, I might be talking to you right now, but let's say the day before you and your wife had an argument. From this conversation, you're going to take what I'm saying and apply it to your life to make that connection so you can remember what I'm saying. And then next time I say to you, you're like, I remember what you said. And then what you're going to say is, you said the thing that, me and my wife, we shouldn't have argued like this. I said, I didn't even talk about your wife that day. What are you talking about? But that's how you interpret it to make that connection so you can apply it. So are we really listening to what the other person is saying? Or are we really trying to connect to that what that person's saying in our own lives? And what we remember is what we remember from our life, not what they said.
That's deep.
Just saying. So that's why when you're like, yo, listen,
Right.
listen. And they're like, I just want to watch cartoon. What do I need to do to watch this cartoon or this
Right.
iPad? They don't know what you're saying.
They have their own intentions or motives at that point, right? That's fair.
So same thing, you might be talking to
Right.
your friend about something that is valuable to you, but they didn't go through the pain.
Right.
Why would they care about nutrition? They're like, I'm fine, I'm healthy. And then maybe
It's
at
true.
55, the doctor says, you're dying. Dave, yo, what is this nutrition thing you talking about? And I'm
Right.
like, oh, it's your time? It's no different than when I graduated, I started buying real estate in 2004.
Right.
2025 now, my friends are reaching out to me saying, I'm looking to buy my first investment property.
Right.
I'm way ahead of my time.
Right.
So for real estate. But maybe for my health, I'm lagging way behind. Someone's like, you don't know anything about nutrition? Mm-hmm. What are you eating? Frozen foods? What are you eating? I'm like, you know what, man? What are we talking about here? This is my normal food. This is normal food. What are you talking about? I love cheesesteaks. I love cheese fries. What are we talking about here? One time I remember I went to eat at In-N-Out in California, right? And my friend's like, I love the fries here. And then I ate the fries. I'm like, it's not that good. What's so
Right.
good about it? And my friend's like, you don't like the fries? No. I said, what does it taste like? He's like, what does it taste like to you? And this is where he opened up my mind. He's like, what does that taste like to you? I said, it tastes starchy. It tastes like potatoes, man. He said, what's your favorite fries, Dave? I said, I guess I like McDonald's, right? I could just taste it. He said, what does that taste like? It tastes like McDonald's fries. Describe what it tastes like. You described In-N-Out. You said starchy. You said it tastes like potatoes. But what does McDonald's fry taste like? Well, I tasted salt. It tastes good. He said, does it taste like oil? Is that what you're tasting? Are you talking about the crunchy texture of it? Right. Do you taste any potatoes? No. So what is French fries made out of? I said, potatoes. He said, so what do you think it should taste like? Starchy potatoes? And he said, does McDonald's taste like that? No. He said, why? I don't know. I never asked that. I don't know why.
I know why.
You know why, right? I didn't.
Yeah.
So for me, at that moment, I start eating that In-N-Out fry again. Potatoes. What was I eating all these years then?
Did it taste better?
No, it didn't taste better. It just tastes like potatoes. But what I realized was what I started to separate. Oh, it tastes good,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't mean that it's good for me.
Right.
So my taste buds like, yummy. But is my body, so afterwards when I eat these type of foods, I get food coma. What is my body saying to me? So this is awareness of the body.
Yep.
So now, talking about the body, that goes for, are you aware of your emotions? Are you aware of your thoughts? Most people are focused on one thing based off of how they connect to the world. You might be really physical, like you said, so you know everything about the body. I'll talk to you. You'll go on and on about physical. I should work out like this. I should do these. You know all these details because you know you're an expert at it. But when it go to internal development, I can say, oh, I spent a lot of time
I'm a
internal.
3-year-old.
Exactly. And if we all understood that from each other, and we all communicated each other in a compassionate and loving manner, we all can learn and grow together. You know, you do construction, maybe someone else do construction, but they do construction totally different with a different focus. They could achieve things that you never could because
Yep.
you're focused on listening. You're focusing on meeting the needs of the customer and what their concerns are. And you know what they're worried about. And for them, they're focused on, we're just banging these things out. And then the customer, there's a disconnect, right? So for you, it sounds like you're a really good service provider. You know, you're really good with relationships naturally. You should be in sales.
Mm.
What is your role now?
Construction management.
Well, you're probably good.
sales.
You're probably
And
good
sales.
in sales. You're probably good at listening to what the contractors want, what they're stuck with, and then you probably give them, solutions.
Mhm.
And then you're probably also the middle person that communicate to the customer of what's possible, what not possible, based off of their skills.
Yep, that's exactly what I do.
And you're probably always, when there's a disconnect or miscommunication or lack of communication, you come in and fill that gap.
Yep.
So in a way, you're the face of the company that people see.
Yep.
And you may not be the process person, but you're the people person. Is that right?
Exactly.
It shows.
The Rock, the people's champ.
The what?
The
The Rock?
The Rock, the people's champ.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't watch wrestling? Okay. Different reference.
Got it. That's great, man. Hey, Sean, is this up yet?
No, we're still flowing.
Still flowing.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about now, man? Let's talk about what you got out of this conversation. What did it solidify for you?
I think for me it's just accepting everyone that is in my life, wherever they're at in their lives. I accept it. Coming from a non-judgmental standpoint, just Dave, wherever you're at, hey, I respect it. You're on your journey. I'm on my journey. When we come together, we can work together. We can go play together. I think it's about just having fun with that person. Every time we talk about our kids, we talk about our kids where they're at, and where your kids are 3. I have a 3-year-old too.
Your 3-year-old's a big 3-year-old. I didn't even know he was 3. I thought he was 5.
Who's that?
Yeah, he's big.
I can't. When you said that to me, I couldn't even. I didn't believe it because when I look at him around other kids, I don't think he's like big or anything like that. He looks like, what's his name? Our fake cousin Jerry Tran, right? He has a 3-year-old, and I think he's like a little bigger than Zach. So I'm just like, oh, that's, I never thought anything like that. So
Maybe my kids are autistic. That's why. And I'm just becoming aware of it.
When I look at your kids, they don't look small to me. they just look like normal kids. And the thing is, when I look at kids now, or I just look at people in general, or anything like that, because I understand as a parent, because I hear it all the time too. They're because you hear this from other parents, like, oh, your kid's small, or your kid's skinny, or your kid's this or that. Why did you cut your kid's hair like that? And I sit there and I'm just like,
You gave him a bowl cut, didn't you?
and I sit there.
Mind your business.
I try not to think that way. I try to look at it in a positive light, like, oh, okay, they just want other kids to look a certain way or be a certain way,
Be more uniform.
conform a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I look at it like it's fine, it's just they're just unaware that when you say things like that, certain parents can take it the wrong way. Like, hey, that's my kid, right? Our kids are gonna grow. They're going to act. They're going to be whoever they're gonna be. So let's not conform them to a way that you expect them to be. Let's be mindful of that we're all parents. We're all trying to do the best for our kids. Let's not, create images of who we're supposed to be, and let them be free, right? I think that's the approach that is fair for everyone, and that's love. And I think that for me as a parent now, when I see other kids, because other kids they struggle with reading, right? They could struggle with gymnastics or whatever, strength, fine motor skills. They're not good at using utensils or writing with a pencil. Do we sit there and say they should be better at this? No, we don't say that. We say, hey, let's get them the help that they need, right? And there's things that are out of our control, right? How a kid looks. Do you make fun of a kid and say, hey, you should look a certain way? No, you know. And so I think that as we start to understand and become more aware of these things, for me, I learned how to let that go. Like, hey, everybody's different. That's what makes our country the best, America, because we have so much diversity. We have so much different cultural differences and coming together of all of these cultures, And I think that's the most beautiful thing about America, is that we have that here. We have so much of that. So yeah, man. Being a parent, changed a lot of things with how I see the world now, and yeah, man, it's all love now. That's all it is.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Being a parent changed my whole outlook in life. Like, there's things that I know today that I would never figure out until I became a parent and really sat with it and go through it multiple times. Like the first kid is just like figuring out what the heck's going on. But now the second and third is like, oh, I'm starting to see this repeated pattern of this is what they need. And I can also see the details and the differences in each one of them. So definitely these experiences are priceless, So
You have what, a 10-year-old?
11.
11? And then you guys waited 8 years to have your...
We didn't
what?
We didn't wait. It was
It
it was from my first son that I found out that I wasn't a good father and I wasn't a good husband until until I fixed that over the 8 years. That's when my wife opened up to say, I'm ready to have more children with you. Basically, it's kind of like saying, after the first one, she realized that, you know what, you're not ready to be a dad. You're a shitty dad. I'm a shitty dad.
Did you feel like you were a shitty dad?
No, because I did whatever my dad did, and I thought that's what being a dad is, providing, working. But now I realize, wow, so much more. And when I was open to learn from her and be a student and learn what a good father was, I now can say, oh wow, I didn't know what I didn't know. It's like she gave me a gift that I wasn't even aware of. And that's the thing that I've learned. A lot of times we have friends in our lives that's trying to share their best thing with us. We don't know what it is. So we're like, nah, it's cool.
Right.
No, thank you. I don't need to go to the gym.
Right.
Or nah, I don't want to try this. Or, you know what I mean? And we're just so, stuck in our small world of what we know, and we want to stay comfortable. Whereas, this year I want to be open and just receive and learn, just be a student, be an explorer, and just allow, see where it takes me. Same thing like you. We're in the same journey, like door to explore.
That's right. I'm excited. I'm excited, man.
Me too.
I think that think good things are on the horizon, especially when you bring together big balls of shining light that's shining radiantly together. It's just like there's only good things that's going to happen from that. That's how I see it. As long as we keep the right focus on what we need to do, and bring value to our team, then it's all good vibes after that.
It's automatic. Travel good vibes, man. Travel good vibes, man.
Travel good vibes.
Bam.